What is up, everybody, and welcome back to, you guessed it, Frag Pro Shooter. Today, guys, what we're going to be doing is we are going to be covering the buff that came to this guy right here, Buck. We're going to talk about what's good about it, what's bad about it, does it really make a difference in his grading, and then we're going to talk a little bit about some tips and tricks that will allow you to play Buck with the best characters in the game. So sit back, relax, enjoy this little montage, and let me introduce you to Buck. Like I said before, guys, today's video we are doing Buck. We're going to be talking about what you can do with him, how good is he after the buff, and we're going to tell you some basic tips and tricks to help you win with this character and have fun with him, because he is actually a fun character with some unique potentials, especially on waterfalls. But with that being said, we need to talk about what actually changed with Buck. So let me go over those changes with you from patch notes 2.1.8. Buck was lagging behind, so he made his weapon more powerful in close range like a shotgun should be. General HP was increased by 6%, and his shotgun, Nature's Fury, I wonder if he's friends with Stryxx. Maybe. Weapon damage shot range increased by 28.6%. That means he has a little more range, making him the longest range shotgun character in the game currently. Weapons fire rate increased by 17%. He's now able to lay down that damage as fast as any of the characters that have a shotgun in Frag. These changes are interesting, but the real question that has to be answered with these changes is it enough to make Buck viable in the current meta of Frag Pro Shooter? So we're going to talk about that here momentarily, but first we're going to get into a few tips and tricks to help you out with playing Buck. And that's going to move us into tip number one. Tip number one, you're fast! Use it! This character can outpace a lot of the characters in the game, and I would go as far to say most, if you put the correct frag powers and implants on him. The reason that he is so good at this, guys, is he has small hitbox with pretty solid health. And because of that, he's able to outmaneuver, get behind, and cause really solid damage to a lot of the characters in Frag. Now, he was like this pre the buff as well, but he was definitely a little more tricky to use beforehand. It's just something very interesting to kind of keep in mind whenever you're playing this character, that you can catch those quick characters. You may not catch a Stella or a Striker, but all those other characters are pretty much free game whenever it comes to Buck. That's going to move us into tip number two, but first we're going to roll over into a new match, because you guys know we need gameplay behind our tips and tricks, obviously. Tip number two is play around your ultimate wall. You actually saw me do this at the end of the last match. I baited his Gigagoo into a trap where my wall then cut him off, and I had free rotation power from that position. The wall in this, especially on waterfalls, is incredibly playable and deployable. You're able to hide around it, maneuver around it, and overall make killing you and getting kills very, very hard for your opponent, while making it easy to survive for yourself. And at the end of the day, that's something you really want. You want to be surviving consistently in order to get those prolonged, huge gobs of damage that can be inflicted upon your opponent's towers with a controlled push. It's something to keep in mind here, guys. Like I said, especially on waterfall, but you can do it on bridges as well. As you just saw there, we block the damage, and now we have free reign on this tower. Now we're going to isolate whoever's in there, and now we got free range to the top. It's that easy, guys. Let's move into tip number three. Tip number 3, range is your enemy. What does that mean? Well, it means this card has an ideal engagement range and it is close. Obviously the headshot multiplier is great, but you really have to be close to get those huge damage numbers that this character is capable of doing out of that shotgun. And don't get me wrong, those damage numbers are actually quite large in comparison to what this card is with the speed he has. Even though Katrina can do more damage per one shot, Buck fires faster, allowing him to do more damage over time to these characters. As you guys see, there's like 828s at point blank range, guys. It's a lot of damage. It's over 160. Sorry, it's about 160. Actually, it's over. That's like 180, roughly. And that's something you need to keep in mind whenever you're going to have a card like this. Get close, get personal, inflict that huge damage, use your speed down maneuver, and then use your wall to get out of sticky situations. These are the 3 tips and tricks for Buck. Now we're going to roll into, is this buff good for him or bad for him, and does it really make a difference in his gameplay? Let's roll on into that. So as per the buff for Buck, guys, there's a couple things we need to talk about. I like the changes. I think he's still missing something, so he's going to be a high B tier character for me. You could maybe make an argument for low A tier, but he's B tier from my personal opinions. What needs to change to make him into a meta conversation or a playable card in the meta? Well, it's very simple. He just needs more health. He just needs a little more health. That's all this card really needs to be fun and viable. He's fast, he does good damage, but he doesn't survive very long. And that's kind of the issues with him. But overall, still a fantastic card. If you guys want, I am playing a new game on later uploads for the day. Go check it out. It's called Shadow of Death 2. Also, there'll be links coming along to a couple more frag videos for you guys to go check out. If you guys want to see my thoughts on Waterfall being the best map ever in Frag Pro Shooter, that'll be posted as well. So go check that out if you haven't. Thank you everybody for coming. Stay safe. Enjoy the rest of this match as it's finishing 5 seconds. And I will see you legends next time. Bye-bye.